is up, guys? Thank you for joining us on another episode of The Existential Man. We are on episode 6, and today we have a very special guest. We are talking to Matt Peale. He is the author of Athlete in the Game of Life. Matt's got a lot of expertise in functional fitness, corrective exercise. He's a certified personal trainer, and we're going to talk to him about some things relating to personal health and well-being and how we can make ourselves better and stronger for those around us. So stay tuned. All right, guys. Thanks again for joining us and tuning in to another episode of The Existential Man. One of the things that we focus on as men is being the very best we can possibly be for ourselves and those around us. And one of the things that ties into that very closely is being at the peak of our physical abilities. When we let ourselves go, or we focus on not taking care of ourselves physically, it starts to affect us in multiple ways. We can't be there 100% for ourselves. We can't be there 100% for our families and those that rely on us, but it also starts to take effect on us mentally. So today we've got author Matt Peale, author of Athlete in the Game of Life, a certified corrective exercise specialist, if I can get that right. Gosh. He is also a certified personal trainer, and he has some insights that he can share with us about some of those things and how we can show up better physically in our daily lives. So, Matt, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Glad to be here. I do like your heavy metal intro. That's very apropos for me, and hopefully every dude listening out here. You know, if you can mix in like a little Metallica Slayer, that would be even the bomb.
Yeah, there's licensing things that go along with that. I don't want to have to pay for every episode that comes out.
Of course there are, but anyways, that's.
But I tried to find something close.
I like it.
No, that's cool. So Matt, so you've got tell me, so you've got a bachelor's of science in marketing.
Correct.
From University of Southern Mississippi. So what made the turn? What brought you to fitness and being a certified certified personal trainer? Why can't I talk today? A certified personal trainer, and then to go on to become a corrective exercise specialist. What was the motivation for that? Talk to me a little bit about that real quick.
Well, life takes turns, and really, I haven't changed that much in regards to selling. Right? What is marketing?
Right.
Marketing is selling. I'm just, instead of selling a copier, which was my first job out of college, or selling a product or tangible something, right? I'm selling a service. I'm selling personal training.
Okay.
I'm selling corrective exercise specialty. That's what I do. It's really no different than a financial advisor. Well, I'm a financial advisor. No, you're a salesman. You're selling your services to help someone improve their financial well-being. So really, it's just a shift of selling. Instead of selling a product for someone else, I'm selling my own services. So how did I get there, though? It was obviously a little long and windy road. I've always enjoyed sports. I've been working out in my room doing push-ups and pull-ups, since 8th, 9th grade, which I'm sure a lot of your audience hopefully can relate to. And I got a curl bar in high school. A curl bar in high school. We are Gen Xers.
Curls for the girls, man.
Curls for the girls, and then I came up with tries for the guys, because that's what the women want out there. They want, what's this little flab underneath my arm? What can I do with that? So curls for the girls,
right?
Tries for the guys.
Right.
So that's where it came from. Just enjoying fitness my whole life. Opportunities came along, job changes, things like that, and so I got in the fitness arena. But at the end of the day, it's still I'm marketing. I'm marketing my services now instead of marketing someone else's products.
Right. And do you find that this aligns more with your passions in life as opposed to what you were doing before?
Absolutely. I'm a loyal guy to what I sell. And of the companies I worked for in the past, like I worked for a Cintas uniform people. So I sold uniform rental services.
Okay.
If I would ever be in a position where I would need uniform rental services again, or floor mats, I'm going to call Cintas. I'm not going to call anybody else. But I know what they do, and I'm very happy with the product and was very happy to represent them. So did it align with my passion at that point in time? No, but it was a job, and I'm loyal to that. And
Right.
now this it does align with what I do. It is my passion because it is my business. Any personal trainer or someone in the fitness industry, it is your business, and that's why people do it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, they realize it's a business and not just I'm just a trainer, a guy who likes to work out, but it's a business.
I totally understand that. And I just, it's I think it's funny when there's a lot of guys out there, and I have to admit, full disclosure here, I'm one of those people that I find it hard to correlate my passions and income. For me, the stuff that I'm passionate about, like let's take for instance podcasting. I find myself on the creative side of the thinking process as opposed to the linear logical side of the thinking process. And so for me, and a lot of creatives out there, we find it hard to monetize the things that we are passionate about. So I commend you and respect you fully for being able to both do what you love and make money enough to at least support yourself in doing so. Um, so so the athlete. All right. So you are an author. You wrote the athlete, an athlete
The
in the
athlete,
game of life. God,
the
what?
athlete in the game
Yeah,
of life.
the
Yes,
athlete in the game of life. Okay, and that came out in 2020.
December of last year. Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
December is when
December
it
of last year. Okay,
the show.
so where did the idea for the athlete in the game of life come from?
So writing a book overall idea probably marinated for 2 years. And when we
Okay,
talk about marketing, I went to something called Super Conference, um, which was a marketing conference, and they just talked about it was put on by Advantage Media and GKIC, uh, no no BS marketing, and they talk about how can you set yourself apart. And this for any entrepreneur listening, doesn't matter if you're a fitness trainer or whatever, is write a book, right? Become the authority, become the
okay,
expert. That's how you set yourself apart from everybody and anybody else. There's a shit ton of personal trainers out there, right? Look online; they're all free.
yeah,
They're not making money.
yep,
Um, there's a lot of podcasters out there, right? There's a shit ton of podcasters.
right,
Right? So how do you
hmm,
differentiate yourself? Well, write a book about something that you're passionate in that niche. So for 2 years, it marinated on. And then in seeing that people that had the same chronic pain issues, the same movement uh, impairments, because they were sitting in the car, they were
okay,
driving to work, sitting in the office, driving back home, sitting on the couch, just sitting, and
right,
they're not able to go out and enjoy the stuff that they want to do because their body doesn't function like it did maybe when they were 20 years old or 17 years old and they were playing high school sports or playing college sports. So that's where the idea came. Well, I know I've been wanting to write a book. Pandemic happened. Well, let's get my corrective exercise specialist certification, in addition to being a trainer. So I've been in the fitness industry since 2008. So I'm not a newbie in there.
yeah,
Government subsidizes everybody to stay home. So here's an opportunity that some
yeah,
funding came across. Let me use this to write my book,
hmm,
start a new business within training and fitness, and you kind of bring that all together. And I partner with Advantage Media Group, and they helped me with a nice package to write it. And voila, now I have Athlete in the Game of Life out on Amazon and on my website.
excellent, excellent. Okay, so talking about who the book is for, right? So you've got the book out there now. Who benefits mostly from athlete in the game of life or the philosophy of the athlete in the game of life and some of those um, concepts and points of focus within that corrective exercise specialty, or even in the broader terms of just health and well-being, physical training, things of that sort.
It's people who, again, are missing out on something. They feel that I'm not the same Joe or Jane that I used to be 15 years ago, 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago. I can't put my finger on it. It hurts to stand up. It hurts when I bend down to tie my shoes, or maybe I can't bend down and tie my shoes as much. I can't get up and off the ground, maybe to play with my kids or with my grandkids and like I used to. I really want to go play tennis a little bit more. I want to hike. I want to be active in the yard. They're just something I is not there. I just can't do it. And so that's what this book
Okay.
is about. Because as we age, our bodies are going through these changes. We're getting older. We're naturally declining, right? We've hit kind of the, I'm not going to say the
Right.
peak of our life, but physically, we're not necessarily going up on the physical side. Now we're beginning that slow down. So how can we prevent it at this rate and still get out and enjoy life? Because there's a lot of life out there to be led.
Okay. Right.
So the person who's going to read my book is that, because they're just, there's a little piece I can't figure out what it is. Maybe I work out, maybe I run, maybe I'm active as it is, but there's something just not there, or I don't know why this is happening.
Yeah.
So that's where the book plays a big role. And my fraternity brothers read the book. He said, "Dude, this is the first book that I've read that I didn't want to necessarily curl up into the couch with. Like, oh, I need to sit up a little bit straighter. I need to bring my shoulders back. I need to, doing everything that's talking about. He's trying to mimic it as he's reading, as you're doing right
I'm,
now, as I see. Right? We're
I'm
all do
sitting
that,
here adjusting my
right? And I'm
posture
adjusting
as you're
everything, and
talking about.
everybody be listening and go, "Holy shit! Is he looking at me? How does he know? How does he know this? He's
Right.
amazing,
Right.
right?" And then I had another
It's
fraternity
amazing
brother.
how it crosses boundaries.
It does. It does. Who and this first guy was in New York City, the other guy's in Memphis, and I told him about the book, and he's like, How do you know this is going on in my life? Is there a video camera? Do you have a camera inside my house? Because I'm sitting at my computer, just like you said, every day at the dining room table, whatever, and it's killing me. My back hurts." And this was a guy who in college was fairly active, wasn't the best athlete in the world. He was on the B or C team, but he was still active and enjoyed sports, enjoyed going out there and
Yeah.
doing things. And now he's just not, and he's in pain a lot, and that's who it really goes after.
Okay. Um, so I'm sitting here as you're saying this, and I'm finding myself like shifting in my chair, trying to adjust my posture. And it's funny how we don't even think about it until somebody says something. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh man, and like maybe it is my posture, maybe it's the way I'm sitting. But one of the things that I've found is um, I'm 36 years old. By some standards, I would be considered still a young man.
Absolutely.
Um, but I used and abused my body in high school and early college, and then also during my time in the military. And so now I find myself some days waking up feeling like I'm 15, 20 years older than I actually am. And so do you find like a correlation between those who were active and engaged in either uh, organized sports or other forms of um, high impact physical activity, that their bodies seem to age earlier or faster than those that maybe weren't earlier in their years of life? I don't know. I'm spitballing here. I'm just asking questions, but because I know from my personal experience how I feel. So
Right. So the answer is yes. We in our minds we still think we're however X years old, right? And our bodies should behave like that. I'm now working with a guy who graduated high school in just 1 year. He's 1 year older than me. He played football, he played soccer, and he plays tennis. Um, he just been sitting in his car, and he drives a lot, and then he sits at his desk, and his mind is still in that time period and feeling like sometimes he's 10, 15 years older. He's got three girls, which is another story altogether. I'm sure that ages him on top of that. Um, but it's, the guy has problems reaching back to grab his ankle to do the old runner stretch, right? When we stand and we grab our ankle and we stretch our quadriceps. Everybody
yeah,
understands what that stretch is, right? He's reaching back, he's reaching back. He can't grab that ankle. He can't grab that ankle. He can't grab that ankle. It's like, holy shit, I can't believe I can't even do this right now. And I said, yeah, and then
yeah,
that's why you're working with, me, right? So it's getting these people to get some mobility and flexibility into their life, strengthen a few different specific
okay,
muscles, and so that they can now go out and go play tennis. He likes to fish, likes to play golf. He's an active guy, and he still is, but he's just kind
Yeah.
of reached a wall. And yeah, I'm 45 years old,
Yeah.
so he's 46 or 47. Um, but getting these people, just kind of change your mindset. You got to change your mindset a little bit to where I'm not powerlifting or deadlifting 350 pounds, maybe more, whatever someone did, or maybe they were bench pressing 275.
Right.
Maybe you're only bench pressing 185. Maybe not even bench pressing 185 now. But you want to get back into that, and so yeah, it's a big mindset shift,
Yeah.
and that's where I kind of specialize with working with people, and that's what the book's about.
Okay. Awesome. And so you found, I mean, obviously we with COVID, and because you mentioned this earlier, you mentioned with COVID that um, obviously there is a big shift. I mean, I don't think we'll ever go back to business as usual pre-COVID. So we're now almost a year with
Right.
the contact restrictions or limited contact with other people, workplace restrictions as far as occupancy, all the other things that go along with it. And so I imagine that there's probably been a significant increase in workplace injuries based on the new workplace. And it's probably a little bit confusing to a lot of people, but having kind of experienced some of this myself, and from what it sounds like, other people that some of your clients that you're working with locally, that the constant sitting at the maybe the brand new office that had to be built or put together because they didn't have another good workplace in their home, or they still don't have a good workplace in their home, so they're still working from their dining room table. you know we're not used to I don't think the majority of us are used to working from one specific location all day, every day. Um, so that shift has had to have taken an effect on our bodies. And I know that from personal experience, um, there's muscles that sometimes hurt these days that I didn't know even existed in my body, simply based on the fact that they're compensating for other muscles that I'm not using anymore.
Right. Right. That's 100%. That's exactly what corrective exercise is. And some people might think, well, I don't really need that. Well, you do need that. I'm looking at you, and I
Yes.
can tell when someone does some movement assessments, and right away I tell them, look, I'm sure your low back hurts because you're tilted this way. Your shoulders hurt because you're tilted this way. Do you get headaches a lot? Yes, I do. Right. How about your upper back? Does that hurt too? Yes. How do you know all these things? Because it's evident to me. Because I've been trained to see these things in people's movement patterns. And you're right. As we're connected more, we're spending more time online in our position. You're at home. The dining room table is not meant to be sat at for 8 hours at a time. After about 30 minutes, your butt
Yeah.
kind of hurts, you're itching. That's all. Those chairs, cushion is about a 30-minute time limit, right? Then, okay, it's time to get up. Dinner's over. Couch, same thing. When we lean
Right.
over into and put it on that ottoman, it. That's why you're shifting. You're in your bed. You're going up and down stairs, whatever you in your house to try to find a comfortable spot, but it's not there because your house isn't meant to be your office unless you invested into that.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different thing going on. We're online more, we're connected more. Mentally, we also feel guilty of not responding as fast because people know, well, Matt's at home. Why is he not responding to this email? Why is he not responding to this
Yeah.
text immediately? Not only is his computer up, but his phone's in his pocket or his tablet's around, even when he's upstairs maybe taking a dump, right? He's not like, why are you not responding to this? So
Yeah.
it's this immediacy, and there's no longer even that uh, space where, okay, well, he's in a meeting, he'll get back to me. He's on a sales call, he'll get back to me.
Yeah.
Like now, now, now. Give me that response now.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of pressure on that.
That's Yeah, and I think that's part of that. I mean, I think the older we get, or the more we experience this kind of expectation that has been growing for years now, of that immediate gratification, immediate satisfaction. Man,
That seems
here's a
like it.
negative side effect of working from home: is all the dogs and
That
cats and all the
too. That
interruptions.
too. That too.
Yes.
That too. Look at all
So,
these
hey
Zoom
guys,
things.
you're gonna hear my dogs, right? You're gonna hear
All
my
right.
dogs because, well, we're doing this from the home studio, and this is just it's just part of the thing. So here we
All right.
are.
Part of life.
I don't edit that stuff out. It's as real as it gets.
No, because when
All
you're
right.
on Zoom calls like that, and you got cats walking across in front of the in front of the screen, there's
Right?
crazy shit going on
God,
out there.
it's like, God damn it, get the hell out of my shit.
Yes. Why is a cat's
Yeah.
butt holding the
So,
camera
all
right
right.
now?
So, oh yes.
Is all
God, I
that.
was I was reading a story about I was reading a story about a college professor who was doing a Zoom class online, and somehow the cat hit the like go online button or something from the, and all it was this big old picture for like a good few minutes of the cat's tail wagging in the butt. Sorry, completely unrelated. I just thought it was
No,
funny.
it's true.
Anyways,
It happens. It's out there.
hey, this is the new world we live in, guys. I'm not going to say get used to it, but get used to
No.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about something that you have pretty high amount of expertise in: kinetic checkpoints.
Mhm.
Okay, let's talk about kinetic checkpoints and what they are and why they're important to maintain for the longevity of our physical health.
Okay. So kinetic checkpoints, we'll say pretty simply, are your major joints of your body that are
Okay,
responsible for most of the movement. So it starts with we'll start from the ground up because that's where you maintain contact, and that's with your feet and your ankles. The
yeah,
next movement up are your knees. Then you have what's called your LPHC, or your lumbopelvic hip complex, which is basically your hips and your low back. And then you move up to your thoracic spine and shoulders. So, right, your kind of upper back. And then you have your head and neck. Obviously you have your wrists and then your elbows also, but those are the biggies, right? The big five, like big four, like Slayer, Anthrax, Metallica, and Megadeth.
okay,
For those of us out there that are metalheads.
right.
And yes. So when anything
Yeah,
there's some dysfunction in there, when there's some dysfunction in any one of those,
yeah.
that's when you're talking about compensations happen. And that's when muscles take
Okay,
over that aren't used to taking on some of the load happen. So that's a very typical one. Let's go with the hip area. Right. So as we're seated, what's
yeah.
happening is your hip flexors and your quadriceps, or the muscles on top of your legs, are constantly contracted in that position, because that's what those muscles do, is
Okay,
that they, bring your knees towards you, or they contract your hips. What then becomes
okay,
lengthened or weakened is always the corresponding muscle, because that's how muscles go. There's, it's called length tension relationship. So they have to be in good length that activate properly. So what becomes weak are your glutes and your hamstrings. So how does that play into normal
okay.
daily life? Well, you have a box on the ground, or maybe your ice chest, right? You want to take your ice chest, pick it up, throw it into the trunk of your car or your truck. Well, because if you've been sitting so long, you can't actually drop your butt down, bend your knees, and pick that thing up properly. So what do? You lean over, and when you pick that object up, your lower back is doing the majority of the lifting. Boom. You heard something, you pull something, you tweak something. Why? Because you don't actually have the range of motion to drop your ass down, use your legs, stand up, use your feet to push through the ground, pick up that box that's your Amazon box that's sitting out there in front of your front door, and just bring it inside.
Yeah,
Now you're SOL because you have your back is hurt and you can't move. And so what happens? You can't move even more because now you've injured yourself. So that's how simple things like
yeah,
this come into play, um, in just everyday life. People don't realize it, how poor their lifting conditions are, or their position is, because they can't actually drop down and use their legs to pick anything up.
yeah. It makes a lot of sense. So, real quickly before we move on, because I want to talk about a couple other things. What are some things that you can kind of briefly explain for these guys that are working from home, or maybe their work situation has changed and they are spending less time doing physical activity, more time doing sedentary activity? uh what are some easy exercises that we that work in a chair at a desk for the majority of the day now, that we can do to kind of maintain some of that strength and flexibility?
So I'll continue with that same example about the hips.
Okay.
So the tightness and weakness. So what we can do is we can stretch our quadriceps and stretch our hip flexors. So as we again said a few minutes beforehand, the runner stretch, right? So we lay face
Yeah.
down on the ground, or we can stand up, whatever is actually easier for you. And we're gonna grab that ankle and we're gonna bring that foot towards our butt. We want to then, if we're standing, make sure that the opposite leg is in line with the plant leg or the one standing on the ground. We don't want to have it so one leg's in front and you don't want to lean over. If so, that's why, because you're so tight. You're like like an oyster in a sense, or a clam that can't quite open. So we want to open that clamshell or open
Yeah.
up that oyster so your head nice and tall. Or if you're lying flat on the ground, you reach back and hold on to that and bring that foot towards your butt. So that's a great stretch for quadriceps, a little bit of hip flexors. The corresponding strengthening we can do is called a bridge. I'm sure some of y'all out there have heard of bridging or a glute bridge. So we're going to lay flat on our back, bring our feet close to our butt, toes pointed forward, and we're just going to push through the ground and elevate our hips as high as we can. You're going to feel it into your butt. You're going to feel it into your hamstrings. You're going to feel a stretch on top. And then we sink down and barely touch the ground with our butt and then push up again. We can do a couple sets of those for 15 to 20 reps right there in your dining room, your living room, your bedroom. If you did that a couple times a day, that'll help with low back pain. That'll help keep you in a little bit better alignment.
Awesome. I'm gonna start doing those. Matter of fact, after as soon as we're done, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna do some bridges and some stretches
Yeah, you can
because
always
I
progress it
feel
and
it.
do it
I
like
I'm
one leg at a
I'm
time too. So either
yeah.
way.
Yeah. I don't say this for a fact or anything. I definitely feel discomfort and like excess strain on my lower back and in my hip area. And I don't know as I noticed it before we started talking, but when the attention is brought, well, that's the thing though, is like
Hmm.
I think there's a lot of things, especially I think especially men are probably better or more adept at this. At least most of the men that I meet, they're more adept at ignoring things that they probably shouldn't ignore.
Right.
um,
Right.
and whether that be their wife telling them something important or the pains and aches in their body that tell them, "Hey, this is probably not something you should be doing right now."
Correct.
Um, so I mean, like I said, I didn't notice it until you said something, but now that I'm focusing on it, it's like, yeah, it is really sore back there. I'm not sitting properly. I kind of feel like my back always has to pop. I don't know, just
Hmm.
so okay. So guys, take some time throughout the day, get some of those exercises in, even if it's something simple, whether it be the bridges that Matt talked about, stretching those quadriceps and the hip flexors like we talked about, even something simple like while you're sitting in your chair doing with calf raises. Calf raises good,
No, that
or is
actually,
that
so
bad?
and we want to strength. So we want to do the opposite. We want to,
Okay,
instead of pushing down with our toes, we actually want to bring our toes up and push down through the heel
okay,
because we lose range of motion. I know you can see it, but not everybody else can. So
right,
what happens is we don't have dorsiflexion, which is when the toes point up. We lose that
okay,
range of motion. So if someone is squatting, let's take a big gym example for us meatheads out there. So if we're doing a
yeah,
squat, or even ladies I may be listening, and we feel ourselves leaning forward, that's typically because we have lack of core flexibility in our ankles, so it pulls our body forward instead of being able to sit back and dropping your butt into that squat. You have to lean forward because you don't have the range of motion in your ankle to stay flat. And we have then
yeah,
the weakness in the shin muscle, which is called the anterior tibialis. So what we want to do
hmm,
is really stretch the calf and work on strengthening that shin muscle. So how we can do that is just stay flat and just bring your toes up. Just keep your heel on the ground. And while you're sitting there doing nothing, bring your toe up. Right? Start bringing your toe up. And that's going to
okay,
stretch out that calf. It's going to strengthen that tibialis. That'll help with also, again, when you're squatting down, you'll be able to have better form at the gym. So as dudes, what do we not
awesome.
do a
All
lot
right,
of?
I'm doing those
Stretching. We don't
stretching.
stretch. Dudes don't
Well, because you
stretch.
were talking about that Right. We don't need to stretch. What are you
We
talking
don't need
about?
to stretch.
Warm-ups? Warm-ups
Warm-ups.
are trash.
No, that's for pussies.
What are those?
We don't need that. We don't need to
Right.
warm up. Crunch. Ow! Maybe I should
God,
have stretched out. Right.
maybe I should have stretched and warmed up. It's funny. It's funny how hindsight is 2020 with some of that stuff.
It's funny because it's true.
Okay. Oh, it is. I think anybody who has done any kind of physical activity in their lives can probably relate. Even if that physical activity happens to be like hiking or doing outdoors kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes we overexert ourselves thinking we can do more than we can. But
Yes.
I digress. I can fully admit that I've been there many
Yep.
times in my
Me
life.
too. Me too.
All right. So, okay, so we got to I know we're at the very end of it, but February is American Heart Month. So, real quick, anything specifically we should touch on? Hypertension I know is really big and in the male population. I also know that it's kind of a factor for a lot of women out there too. But since we're kind of talking to our dudes here,
Hmm.
what are some things that we as guys can focus on to number one, understanding kind of what that baseline is for hypertension or pre-hypertension, some things we can do to maybe mitigate it, or and also some risk factors, things that we should try and look out for outside of the norm, to see if we're maybe on the cusp of it.
Great points, Matt, and thank you for leading into that. So it is heart disease every year. Every year kills around 500,000 Americans. Right.
Okay.
So the big number that just came out the other day was, supposedly the COVID, I guess, believe what you want, they say killed 500,000 Americans as a country. Well, heart disease does that every year, right? Every year.
Yeah.
And where's the attention to that? There's unfortunately not a lot, because now where it's like the boy that cried wolf. Oh, he's got high blood pressure. Oh, he's got hypertension. Well, you're right. Right. Millions of Americans, 1 in 2 adult Americans have high blood pressure or hypertension. Right. So the two of us here talking to each other, one of us, by those stats, has hypertension. And there you go. Right.
It's probably me.
So think
It's
about that.
probably me just based on if you look at what you do for a living versus what I do for a living, I would venture to guess that that's probably me. Man, I'm fucked.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's how prevalent this is. But you don't necessarily know you have it just because I don't know, you wake up and you have problems, or you're out of breath walking to the mailbox, right? Your doctor does have to diagnose it for you and then prescribe a
Okay.
medication. I can't do that. Your neighbor who's on hypertension medication can't do that either. It is your doctor. So I do always encourage
Yeah.
people, go check it out. If you think you have it, odds are obviously you do. Go to the doctor. Now, the doctor obviously may give you some medication, but he's generally, or she's also going to say, "Hey, what are you eating? Are you getting around the block on a regular basis? Probably not, because you're 25 pounds overweight, right? You're out of breath coming down the stairs and going up the stairs, and you can't bend down to tie your shoes because you can't see your shoelaces. So there's a problem there, and that's where it's voluntary. So it's lifestyle changes. What are we eating? Let's look at that. I'm not going to go in detail there, but look at what you're eating. Are you exercising? All those things, if you lead a moderate, healthy, active lifestyle, chances are you aren't going to have it. I've worked with a number of clients who have come off of medications just because they don't eat shit anymore. And they're a little bit more active. They've
Yeah.
been able to drop these medications, which also, guess what, guys, puts money back into your wallet. You're not spending it on medicine.
Hey, I like money in my wallet. I'm not gonna
Right.
lie. I like money in my wallet.
Right.
So here's the crazy shit, right? Oh, so Matt, here's the crazy shit.
Okay.
So from episode 1, I've been trying to kind of put this thought into our listeners' minds, And a lot of it has to do with reminding myself on a regular basis, like we have to take time out to do introspection. We have to reflect on who we are, what we're doing, where we're going, and where we want to be. And a lot of that has to do with where we're coming from and kind of goal setting. I talk about my progress blueprint, but I tell you what, man, some of the things that you brought to light today are huge in terms of staring at that man in the mirror, so to speak. But I think what's more important is not just that you've brought it to light, but that you're challenging us to be honest with some of those things. We talked about it just a second ago in terms of we ignore a lot of things that are actually important to pay attention to, and we've become very adept at doing so because a lot of us tend to be singular minded in terms of what direction we're going. So, like if I'm focusing on work, that's what I'm focusing on. Everything else goes by the wayside. Um, but we need to be more cognizant of what is going on mentally and physically with us, and the physical aspect is specifically important, at least from what I'm gathering from what you're saying, because the physical aspect affects financial well-being. Obviously, without a doubt, because we're talking about the physical, it affects our physical well-being, which then is secondary and second order and third order effects affects the people that are around us and those that rely upon us. But also something that is extremely important, but that doesn't get enough light shed on it, is the mental well-being of us as men. When we don't take care of ourself physically, that has second and third order effects for us mentally as well. More hypertension, like stress and anxiety, more depression, um, tends to lead us to. I think there's a correlation between lack of physical health and shorter tempers or aggression. I could be. I know I've read some studies on this, and I don't know what all the exact numbers are, but I really like what you're bringing to light here, because I think it's important for us to all kind of look in the mirror and say, "Am I doing the best that I possibly can for myself?" Because if I'm not doing the best that I can for my possibly for myself, and I'm not taking care of myself, how can I properly be there to take care of other people? So that kind of leads me into something else too, and we're about 2 months in. We're pretty much 2 months in to the new year, and just last week, we celebrated, I know y'all celebrated Mardi Gras,
Right.
which is the very beginning of Lent for those of you that, celebrate or recognize Catholic, Lutheran, Episcopalian, other
Just about every
Catholic-based.
Christian. Yeah.
Right, most Christian faiths at least recognize Lent as a Christian period of, or holiday, I guess, period, whatever. But so we talk about resolutions, right? So my mom even asked me, "Hey, what are you giving up for Lent?" Nothing. I'm not giving anything up for Lent. I'm going to focusing on being a better person every day and being better
Hmm.
for myself.
Hmm.
So you have an interesting view on resolutions that kind of led me to that. So you have this concept, reject the resolution, and I really want our guys to hear about that. I know we're running short on time, but I really want to touch on this before we get going, because I think it's important to to talk about. So talk about it real quick, and then I'll interject kind of my take on what you're saying and how I've adapted it to my life. So please share.
Cool.
Why don't resolutions work for people?
Good point. I'm glad you brought that up. So I did kind of come up with that this year. So rejecting the resolution. Typically, when we come up with resolutions, or even let's go with Lent right now, what is it? It's deprivation. Right? We're depriving ourselves of something for a short period of time to either hit a goal or go through this Lenten period of sacrifice. That's really what I think Lent is about, is sacrifice.
Yeah,
Um, that hopefully at the other end will come out of it a better person or ahead. But the problem is there is a beginning and there's an end point, and then it's all based on deprivation. And then we say, "Oh well, fuck that, I'm done with that." Right? Let's get back to my normal self of whatever it is. So when we reject,
temporary
yes, it's
sacrifice.
temporary sacrifice, which then results in putting yourself in a worse position than you were before you started. So what rejecting the resolution is let's make this more of what can we do for lifestyle to do things that help us enjoy and have some enjoyment and have some pleasure in what we're doing, because that's when we're going to stick to it for a long term. If it's always sacrifice, sacrifice,
Yeah.
pain, 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 we're gonna be done with it. So what can we do that are small changes every day that are going to end of the day yield an enjoyment result that we can have a little bit of enjoyment in the process, because that's how we're going to stick to it. So if we go the typical thing, what does everybody want to do? Lose weight, right? I got to lose this 15 pounds that I've been trying to lose
Mm-hmm.
for the past 15 years. And when it doesn't happen on January 4th, guess what? Well, see you later. We'll try that again next year. Obviously,
Yeah.
15 pounds in 4 days
Fuck it. It
wasn't
didn't
meant
work.
to
I
happen.
quit.
Fuck it. I'm done. I'm done. Give me some fried chicken and that 3 beers right there. So
Yeah.
if we
No, I'll take
just,
some gumbo though.
well, gumbo works too. So if we say, let's make a small adjustment, a small daily adjustment that we can enjoy. So I always talk about,
Yeah.
food a lot, right? So if you don't like Brussels sprouts, don't eat Brussels sprouts. Don't force yourself to eat Brussels sprouts because they taste like shit to you. There are lots of other vegetables out
Yeah.
there. You know, do you like broccoli? Do you like lettuce? Do you like anything in that? Well, eat a little bit more of that. It's still good for you. Those are things that can help. Those are things that you're going to stick with, and it's about moderation. So a little bit more about me. So I'm 45. I'll be 46 here in May. For the past 6 years or 5 years, I've been able to pretty much maintain about a 9% body fat, right? Day in, day out, day in, day out.
Okay.
How do I do that? Right? Through moderation. I don't go way off the fucking deep end. I try to keep my drinking to Friday night and Saturday. Does it always work every week? No. I don't drink soft drinks. I drink water, milk, coffee, tea, things like that, or booze. The variety of boozes. Trust me, I don't cut back for
Okay.
any calories. Right? But if you are just good with yourself, like Sunday through Thursday, man, just be good. And that's where you reject resolution, because that puts you way off the deep end. It's too extreme. Let's just focus on Sunday through
Yeah.
Thursday. And if you can cut back the cookies and the crackers, cut back the beer, cut back the soft drinks, cut back some of the processed food, be a little bit more smarter than that, your body will naturally make those changes for you that you don't have to then think about, oh my God, I'm almost done with this resolution. I'm almost to this goal weight of 15 pounds. And then I go right back up to what I did before.
I
So
can go.
reject it.
I've almost hit my 15 pounds, so I can go get my triple cheeseburger with bacon and
Yeah.
3 pieces of cheese. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me go and get that, every other day. Again.
So right. So so when we talk about rejecting the resolution, it's not so much what I gather is it's not so much about not choosing to make these changes, but instead of focusing focusing on it as a temporary solution or this temporary thing, it's about focusing on the smaller, more easy to obtain goals to continue to build this into a permanent lifestyle change. And that's what I took from it when we first talked about it.
Yeah. Correct.
Um
Correct.
and so um ultimately a couple episodes ago I challenged our listeners to start start taking action with something. If it's something that they've been focusing on or thinking about for a while, quit the bullshit, quit the talking, quit the thinking, just do something.
Hmm.
And so maybe a challenge this week that these guys can focus on. We talked about it earlier is every 30 minutes, every hour, every 2 hours, get out of your chair, stand up, stretch, uh, do some of those bridges. You know, just increase that flexibility and the focus on that length tension relationship that we talked about.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
or make some small changes in your diet. If you have fried chicken, mashed potatoes for dinner, maybe sub out the mashed potatoes for what is it, the cauliflower style mashed potatoes. You can make them so that they taste almost identical, but there's a lot less of that starchy component, that simple sugar part of that molecule that's going into your stomach at that time. Or
Right.
maybe cut out the fried chicken and do like a roast chicken or a grilled chicken or
That's
something
the
like that.
easiest. When you made an example, that's the easiest thing to do. Right. Let's cut the fried out. Chicken's great. Chicken's amazing. It's
Right.
fantastic. Don't get hung up the fact I have to have a chicken breast. Chicken thighs are
Yeah.
good. Chicken legs are good. I mean, you're not going up to stand on stage in a bodybuilding show that you really need to split it down that much. I
Yeah.
promise you, it's fine. And thighs taste a lot better because they're juicier. So, like, switch that. And yeah, instead of potatoes, why don't you have salad? You like salad? It's okay to put some dressing on there. You don't have to do it just lemon. Have a little bit of dressing and put some
Yeah.
ranch on there, people. It's fine. It won't kill you as long as you don't put half a bottle every time. So when you
Right.
and that's what I tell it's you don't have to fucking be outrageous. Just it's those changes though, but when you add that up over a week's time, over weeks, over months, that little thing, it makes a big difference.
Oh yeah. Yeah. All right, man. Well, look, I'm going to ask you to kind of leave I want you to leave our listeners, if there's one piece of advice, man to man, that you could tell yourself 20 years ago, what would it be?
It would be to stretch more often. Just stretch more often.
Okay.
That's a big thing because stretch also comes with a big thing, right? Stretch also means stretching your mind, right? Stretching yourself for that next goal and take a little bit of a risk to get there. So it's not just stretching your body, right? Let's stretch our mind, let's stretch our courage muscle and to achieve
Okay.
our next level of life.
Right on. Right on. All right, guys. So I'm going to encourage you guys to go to Amazon. Go check out The Athlete in the Game of Life by Matt Peale. It's on Amazon right now. You can get it for your Kindle or your ebook reader, or as well, you can buy the paperback edition. And Matt, how can these guys connect with you directly? If there's somebody do you do virtual appointments, like virtual consultations and stuff?
I do. So you can go to my
Okay.
website, which is Matt Peale, that's PEALE.com, and you can actually order the book through there. You can sign up for my newsletter on there. You can take a survey, your chronic pain survey. I have another little monthly membership that you can join on there. You can go to my Facebook page, which is Athlete in the Game of Life. I post on there a few times a week. And then on Twitter, Matt Peale, and LinkedIn, Matthew Peale. Take your pick. Email me at athleteinthegameoflife@gmail.com with any questions. If you heard it on here, you tell me, hey, I heard you with Matt. Matt and Matt talking to each other. So it'd be great to hear from you.
Awesome. All right, guys. So you heard it here. So make sure you go over to Matt's website at mattpeale.com. Again, Matt, thank you so much for joining me. I really like what you brought to the show, and I'd love to have you on again sometime.
Dude, let's do it. Let's do it.
So we can talk about that. We'll talk about that down the road. I think we'll focus less on the broad, and maybe focus on something more specific. But
Okay.
I really like what you bring to it, and I appreciate what you said in your advice, because we talk about leaning beyond the edge of your comfort zone, and that's where true growth really happens. And sometimes that's physical, sometimes that's mental, sometimes that's emotional. But guys, remember, stretch more. Stretch more. Stretch your mind, stretch your body. Take that time to look at yourself in the mirror and really analyze, am I doing this the best way I can? Am I being the best person that I can be at this moment? So guys, thank you very much for joining me. Matt, thank you so much for joining me. Guys, go check him out, mattpeale.com. Check him out, Athlete in the Game of Life, at Facebook, and on Twitter at Matt Peale. And go check him out. Help support him. Reach out to him if you guys are having some pains and issues, things that you want to take care of in your physical well-being. He'd definitely help you out. So guys, again, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care.